see the ranger station about 4 miles down the road. Take a left at the sign for Elkmont Nature Trail where you'll find a parking lot. The lot is within walking distance of the historic structures in Elkmont.
If there's one story I've been extremely excited to share with you here lately, it would be this one. Anytime you include the words Smoky Mountains and Ghost Town, it's a combination I'm all in on. I mean, who isn't curious about a story of an old abandoned ghost town? And today's story is just that. One that anyone that loves visiting the area, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Townsend, Wares Valley, or anywhere in the parks, or heck for that matter, anywhere, should appreciate.
Alright, so here we are. Not exactly sure where it is, but let's read the sign and see if we can discover where we need to go to here.
Now imagine just for a moment, long, long ago, living in an old mountain logging community right here, way back then. I believe it was known as Little River due to its location near the upper Little River Valley.
All along this road that you're about to see is just a series of these old buildings that all make up for what people call the ghost town. So as you can see, these are old buildings. Do a little quick spin through here. It's got a toilet back here and a sink. Some of these floors look very, very unstable. I don't know if we should be in here. I see holes in the floor. And this one right here, built in 1830, it says, actually stands still right here behind this signpost, and that is the cabin right there. As you can see, of course we can't walk over to this one because they've got it roped off with the caution tape. This house right here was built in 1830, and the door is wide open. Take a quick walk inside. Like most houses in this era, they have a stone fireplace and the wooden beams up top. And this is where life would have happened, right in here, all in this one room. And that very well could be the same door handle from the 1830s that man would have used to lock. Not exactly sure, but that definitely looks pretty rustic, pretty old.
A lot of the other remains still found here, along Jake's Creek and Little River, warrant its appointed reference as a genuine ghost town.
You can actually see the remnants of something here. You've got like a stone perimeter. Might have been like the base of a cabin. This is immediately upon entering.
Now stick with me now. You have to learn a little bit about the backstory to make the story of this ghost town that we're visiting here today even more interesting than it already is. Well, the story goes, a local named Levi Trentham, who is often called the prophet of the Smokies or the mayor of Elkmont, who also, mind you, was known to not be too fond of outsiders. He had inherited his father's land in 1905 and sold a tract of land to a wealthy industrialist named W.B. Townsend. Townsend formed the Little River Lumber Company, which established the town of Elkmont in about 1908 and grew this small community's logging industry and other nearby communities into a huge logging operation that flourished for many years to come.
And all that seems to be left on this one is a huge chimney, fireplace, still standing in all its glory. Just all these stacked rocks all the way up. Look at that. Wonder how long that took to construct. And right where I'm standing, you can only imagine what kind of life was actually lived right in this vicinity that I'm standing in. Of course, it would have been raised a little bit with the foundation in place, but right here, someone's life was lived out.
Through the years and at the pinnacle of his success, W.B. Townsend had acquired more than 80,000 acres of the area, which is known as the Great Smoky Mountains National Park today.
So many different pieces of foundation and stone remnants just left strung all throughout the forested areas here. We're actually walking up on another one right here, not too far from the last one. And you can see it right there. It looks like another chimney left standing.
I'm aware of the bonds that were created today. When you told me that sure there's a way. The water's so still and my pain has gone away. The air is much cleaner after it rains. Follow my love, the sentence in spring air. Follow the moon into the sun. There's a call for new beginnings here. Let the sorrow of yester disappear. Let your body be new.
Now, not too long after, W.B. Townsend also built a railroad system to carry its logging efforts from site to site, and then back to the Tuckaleechee Cove to be processed at a large sawmill there. The mill is in present-day Townsend and actually named in honor of Townsend himself. The railroad was called the Little River Railroad.
But another chimney left standing in the Elkmont Ghost Town. Oh, this actually could have been something that held the mantle at one point. Maybe it came across here and there was actually another one that came out and the mantle shelf would lie right on that.
With the Little River Railroad lines connecting with other major transportation routes, by year 1909, the railway would run all the way to Knoxville, Tennessee.
All right, so already, how many have we seen? 3 remnants of 3 different cabins. And here's another one right here. It's actually really good that they left the stone chimneys in place, you know?
Now this is very important. That little railroad system that curved throughout the Tennessee mountains is literally the very first means of tourism to what would soon be known as the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. How, you might ask? Well, early on, they added an observation cart on the logging train, which would allow tourists to travel between Knoxville and Elkmont.
Travel in on the locomotive, siding as a tourist cart as well as a logging train.
Curious travelers could now purchase tickets to ride on the observation cart and then stop in at Elkmont for weekend summer escapes, picnics, and just to get away from the heat of the city to enjoy the cool, fresh mountain air and the rushing rivers of the region.
What a great view this would have been. Hearing that sound, no technology, no fast-paced life, just the sound of a rapid river, unpolluted air, surrounded completely in nature, deep within the woods of eastern Tennessee.
They even had brochures advertising the trip and the location, referring to it as the Elkmont Special and Elkmont Country. It was a big deal back then.
The beautiful Elkmont Country. This is some old pamphlets they had. Knoxville and Augusta and Little River Railroads. That's what would take you in. Just imagine all the way back in the 1900s, coming here, getting away from the hustle and bustle of Knoxville, hitching a ride on the Little River Railroad and coming here to relax deep within the mountains. Must have been really nice.
Now stick with me, because if you're a modern day visitor of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, This is something you need to know about to be a true Smoky Mountain enthusiast. You're going to once and for all understand how all of this began here, and will finally begin to see any trip you take to the national park stands in a long line of previous journeys here long before your visit.
Let's go take a walk on the troll bridge. Wow. You can just tell this thing has some history and is definitely aged.
Now, the ghost town that we're exploring today, way back then, was first established as a sort of base camp for all of the logging work that took place here for the Little River Lumber Company.
And it really doesn't take long at all once you start hiking through here to realize that on both sides of the trail, as you can see way back in there, is the stone chimney of another cabin that was removed. Another piece of history lost through the hands of time. And I have a feeling that's going to be an ongoing theme as we explore through this area.
Even early on, the Elkmont area grew quickly and became a full-fledged bustling mountain city. There was a church, schoolhouse, a post office, a general store, and a growing number of homes coming up.
Sarah's over there walking on what looks like some type of foundation. So maybe this was at one point part of the hearth here. It looks like it could have fallen off the edge right here. And at that point, I would imagine whoever lived here probably could have never saw their life anywhere else. Through the seasons of time and change, everything changes, and this definitely changed as well.
As the years moved forward, the logging efforts matured, and as the visitors to the area increased substantially, Old Man Townsend, being the entrepreneurial spirit he was, who had already founded the lumber and the railroad companies, could clearly see that this fast-becoming tourist region was a hot market for a fresh new business venture. In 1910, he sold 50 acres of land to a group that would form the Appalachian Club, just south of the logging town, which was just sort of a social club, maybe could even be referred to the likes of a modern-day country club. Its members were mostly wealthy businessmen from the Knoxville areas.
Really relaxing setting, sitting up here on the rocking chairs.
Well, the Appalachian Club built a clubhouse lodge and some cozy cabin cottages for its members right here in the Elkmont area.
And here is another historical photo. I don't know if the camera's picking that up, but you got just a ton of people here. It looks like on the back side of this actual building, the Appalachian Club, taking a group photo, and it's from 1925, and it says it's the Tennessee state legislators, and some more of the marketing pamphlets from way back in the day. But here is the actual historical photo from here, and it says quite a social place. And this very well could be that same porch, which I believe it is, that photo was taken right there. That is pretty cool. Love history. Love discovering history. There's like trees back here, but if you look this way, could it be the exact same area we're standing on? Probably so.
But with any new business, competition is usually right around the corner. A man named Charles B. Carter had also bought 65 acres of land from the Little River Lumber Company and brought to life another club that was known as the Wonderland Club. He then later built a hotel named the Wonderland Hotel, which first opened in 1912. The Wonderland Hotel in itself has an extremely interesting history and backstory, and I'll be sharing it with you in more detail, and if we can find it, we'll be taking you on a full-on exploration of it in part 2 of this series. I can't wait to share it with you. But where were we? Oh yeah, so the Appalachian and the Wonderland were kind of dueling clubs in the 2 mountain resorts visitors spent time at. Now, fast forward in time, both clubs are more or less settled into their respective roles as the exclusive resorts in the Elkmont area. Both had a hodgepodge of cabin properties, homes, and land owned directly by both Appalachian and Wonderland Club members.
And a lot of these houses are just wide open. Take a quick peek in here.
And both continued to operate well throughout the 1930s. Now, this ghost town, you're probably wondering, how did it come to be like this? Here's the quick gist. Now, with the formation of the national park coming, locals and club members that own cabins would now either have to sell their homes at full value and move away, or offer a discounted sales price to the national parks and get to stay in their homes. Some initially were granted lifetime leases, but the leases they were offered were later restructured to 20-year leases in return for gaining public utilities. So how did this area become a ghost town? Well, in a nutshell, as time marched forward, and with a second awarded 20-year lease agreement expiring in 1992, the National Park Service had planned to just demolish everything here after it took full control. But in 1994, the National Register of Historic Places added Elkmont to its roster as the Elkmont Historic District. 70 buildings were still standing, however, with no one to take care of them. With much dispute and pushback through many years, in 2009, the National Park had decided that out of the 70 cabin structures, only 19 from the Appalachian Club section would be preserved for the public to visit and retrace the history here. A restoration that is still underway today. The rest of the old cabins and structures not included in the preservation efforts would be demolished, leaving only remnants of the foundation, old stone chimneys, stone walls, and fences left behind as seen here today. With so much history involved at Elkmont, we're just barely scratching the surface.
Gonna dig a little deeper down the trail here, see what else we can discover. Hopefully soon we find the Wonderland Hotel and see if we can find any remnants or relics from that from long ago.
I can't wait for you to come along with Sarah and I to see if we can uncover anything that might still be left standing from the big Wonderland Hotel, which stood somewhere around here all the way until 2005 when it collapsed. The old hotel is a story in itself deserving to be told, full of mystery, reflection points, and a lot of history. We're going to show it to you and tell you all about it on the next vlog. But first, we just have to find it.